I have nothing left to bet, you idiot.
The plane.
That's rich. Oh, why the hell not? I've got you beaten anyway.
Yeah.
What have you got? Wipe your mouth, Blackburn.
That wasn't supposed to happen. But you know, I'll be taking that plane anyway.
What the bloody hell? You lost! I beat you!
The thing is, Rackham, it's a very beautiful aeroplane, and you're kind of a jackass.
I beat you fair and square, goddammit! Stay the hell away from my kite! Oh, you bastard! You can't do this to me! I beat you! I beat you!
My name's Clyde Blackburn. I'm a pilot and a gambler.
I'm George Rackham! I'm George bloody Rackham! Listen to me! You bastard! Keep off my aeroplane!
If you asked me to name my biggest fault, I'd have to tell you. I'm just not a very honest person.
Welcome aboard! I'm Wilson, by the way. You must be George Rackham.
Sure, I'm Rackham. I'm your guy. Blood! Let's get this kite up in the air.
You're George Rackham, son of the 4th Earl of Windsor.
That's right. Hip, hip, man.
Hello, Warfighters. War is hell. Welcome to the next episode in the series of Battlefield 1, where we're talking about the history of World War 1. And so this part of the campaign is all about aviation and aircraft, which for me is really exciting because combat aircraft was always my thing when I was a kid. My parents bought me this book that had a whole bunch of tables and facts about aircraft. And so I would memorize how fast aircraft can go, how high they can go, what type of engines do they have, and that type of stuff. So I always get excited talking about aircraft. This particular mission is very short because it's all about training you for the next couple missions. And so I didn't want to go with anything too deep, but I did want to talk about some of the most epic moments in World War I aviation. So we're actually going to start off here with a guy named Sir David Graham Donald. Now, he was a British pilot, and in 1917, he was flying in an aircraft known as the Camel, and he was trying out this new maneuver. And this new maneuver required him to do a loop. And he was up at 6,000 feet and suddenly realized that he was having a problem with the seatbelt of his aircraft. And the reason why he knew he was having a problem with his seatbelt was he found himself just falling right out of his airplane. Now, Allied pilots did not have parachutes, and a lot of people think, well, they just didn't have parachutes. Well, that's wrong. There was actually a philosophy that pilots would be more cowardly if they would be able to safely jump out of their airplanes. They thought if they were forced to stay in them that they would fight harder and better. And I guess there might be some truth to that. But anyway, so he's falling out of his plane, nothing's stopping him or slowing him down. And at 2,000, he falls 2,000 feet, and then all of a sudden he straight up hits his airplane. His airplane had completed that loop with him, and he fell right on top of it. So he quickly grabs the edge of the wing and holds himself there. He's going 140 miles an hour, so it's not easy to hold on to this plane. And he tries to reach for the joystick. But as he reaches for the joystick, it causes his plane to spin violently, and it almost throws him right off. But he's able to go ahead and stick his foot into the plane and bring that plane under control. Now, he gets back in the cockpit and finds he only has 800 feet left before he would have hit the ground. The dude was lucky. So I guess if you're playing Battlefield and you jump out of your airplane, you do something crazy and just jump right back in. When you compare that to Sir David Graham Donald, that's really not too crazy. Hashtag only in Battlefield. Anyway, next person here, Billy Bishop. Now, Billy Bishop was a Canadian who the Germans called Hell's Handmaiden. Well, he got that nickname for a couple of reasons. One was because he was an ace in less than 2 weeks in the Air Force. But he was known for one method of attack that he preferred over all other ones, and that was straight up playing chicken with his opponents. Like, he would just go head on at them, they would go head on with him, and they would just fire their guns until the other person died. So, after one particular engagement, Billy Bishop's mechanic found over 200 bullets in Billy Bishop's plane. Now, you figure that his plane is a little less than 20 feet in length. That means there was about 10 bullets per foot, or you round even more, and you're looking at 1 bullet per inch almost. Now, he did this not once, not twice, but 100 times. Like, that's how much they estimate he did this. 100 times playing chicken with the enemy. And he was wounded 0 times. Dude goes through the war without a scratch. What's even more mind-boggling is he does this so many times, but he also comes out of the war with 72 victories. Definitely earns the name Hell's Handmaiden. Next person we're going to talk about here is a guy named Willie Coppins from Belgium. Now, Belgium obviously got the short end of the stick during World War I. I mean, really, Germans kind of went through them just because they were there. Now, Willie Coppins was given very frequently obsolete aircraft and didn't have that much ammunition, but he was widely known as the champion of taking out balloons. He was given credit for 34 kills against balloons. And when you play games like Battlefield 1, it makes it look like it's super simple, but taking those out really weren't. These balloons were super valuable because of the type of intelligence that they were able to provide. A lot of the balloons either had squadrons of fighter planes around them, or many of them had anti-aircraft batteries at the very, very bottom of them shooting up. Like, they would even set up these booby traps where it was steel cables connected to kites, and most pilots wouldn't see that they were there until these steel cables just tore the aircraft that are made out of wood and cloth like in half, and killed a number of pilots too. So Willie Coppins was pretty legendary at this, and Germany really, really, really wanted to take him down. And so they packed a balloon with so many explosives that it would almost destroy anything within 500 feet. Now, this was a really, really big deal taking him out, like so much so that word got around the German army and actually found its way to Willie Coppins that they were trying to do it. But he's like, I'm going to go take it out anyway. All right, so when they're going to raise this thing up, there's dozens of Germans that are just waiting around to finally see this guy go down. And as they raise the balloon, Willie's like, all right, I'm just going to go through and take this out. And so about halfway up to its required height, he comes in and takes it out. And the thing explodes in this giant fireball. Now, he ends up, getting rocked a little bit and everything like that, but he survives and is able to get out of there. But what's really crazy is because it was only halfway up and he destroys it, that explosion also killed and wounded the dozens of Germans that were sitting there waiting to watch this guy die, which basically just goes to show, don't be an idiot and keep your mouth shut. All right, the last guy we'll probably get a chance to talk about here is William Barker, who is a Canadian. Now, in October 26, 1918, he'd already taken out 46 enemy pilots, and he was ordered home for some rest. But rather than going straight home, he decided to fly over the front to see what was going on. And he sees this two-seater plane flying pretty low. He goes, takes it out, and realizes that it was just a decoy, and there's 60 planes that are above him trying to take him out. He realizes that when he ends up getting shot in the right thigh, and it basically makes it so his leg is barely attached at all. So now he's only able to make left turns, which is kind of like a reverse Zoolander. But instead of trying to get away like a normal person, he just straight goes through the middle of the Germans, taking one down, the guy who originally shot him, as well as somebody else. And then later on, he straight up tries to ram the enemy and takes out another guy. So he takes out 4 people in basically 10 minutes. Now, as he's trying to get away, he ends up fainting, and he goes in an uncontrolled spin for about 6,000 feet. He wakes up, discovers the Germans are still going after him, and then he gets hit in the other leg, the left elbow, and he faints a second time. The dude regains consciousness right about ground level, but he crossed back over on the Allied lines, and he ends up crashing after all the blood loss that he'd had. But the dude ends up surviving and goes into a coma for 10 days. But 2 days later, after he wakes up, the war's over. These guys are epic. I mean, all of these pilots in World War I have got some great stories that you just don't hear now. And so I wish I could have talked about more, because there's like, let's see, Charles Nungesser. He was actually really, really cool. He was a French pilot. And of course, you've got the Red Baron, but I'm going to do a video just on that guy, because that is such an amazing story about what that guy did and everything, even after he died. It's super cool. So anyway, I hope you guys subscribe, of course, to be able to hear some more about combat aviation in World War I. It's awesome. All the research that I've done for this, it makes me want to learn so much more. So thanks for watching, you guys. I sure do appreciate it. Feel free to subscribe, as I mentioned. You can follow me on Twitter @_WarIsHell. You can also follow me at Facebook by searching War is Hell Gaming. You can also donate to my Patreon, which I, of course, always appreciate, because that does go to help the kids. But Warfighters, war is hell, but you don't have to worry, because Warfighters, I've got your six.
Where do you think he's going?
That way. We're going after him.
What are you doing? We should turn back!
To hell with base.
Pull up! Pull up!
Take cover! Whoa, look at that!
You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Let's get these pictures back to base immediately!
All right.
That's how we accidentally discovered where Germans were keeping their munitions for half the Western Front. And Wilson's pictures would help HQ launch a major assault. There was just one problem.
I'm not sure about this.
Oh, come on. We did a great thing. We'll get medals for this.
We weren't even supposed to be there.
When the commander sees these pictures, he won't care. We did a great thing. We can do it again.
I'll make you a deal. If we pile up on this, then you need to promise me that you'll get me back in one piece.
Sure thing.
Promise. I need your word.
Okay, I promise.
Stay here. And don't cause any trouble.
You know, I did like the guy. But he was kind of naive.
Sir, you might want to take a look at these.
Saints alive, your man must be
One hell of a pilot.